So today, I'm going to be showing you how to make your very own sourdough starter from scratch. Listen, most of the videos I've seen online on how to make your own sourdough starter are just so complicated for I don't know what reason, but it's really simple and really easy. You only need 2 ingredients. You just need some flour and some water, and that's it. So when you're making wild yeast, it converts basically the sugar from your flour into carbon dioxide. And this whole process is basically what creates air in your dough, and that's what's gonna make it rise. It also uses healthy bacteria to convert protein like gluten into lactic acid. This means less gluten in your bread. Yeah, you heard me, less gluten. And then you compare this to the little packet dry yeast, and yes, fine, it is a faster process. But then what ends up happening is that now you have to add sugar into your dough. And now the yeast is no longer breaking down the natural sugars from your flour. So now you're gonna have both high amounts of natural sugar and added sugar in your bread. And then without the healthy bacteria that comes from the wild yeast, your bread is now gonna be quite difficult to digest. So then what happens? Now we have people that are gluten intolerant. So if you're someone that's having trouble eating a normal piece of bread, well, this may just be the solution for you. Now, let's get started. So first, let's talk a little bit about what you'll need to make this. You're going to need some sort of a jar for your fermentation, either glass or ceramic. I actually like to use a glass jar just so I can see what's actually going on throughout the process. Now, you can't just use any flour. I use organic, unbleached, all-purpose flour. Please do not use bleached flour. If not, you're pretty much just wasting your time and nothing's gonna happen. Now, this is a 5-day process, but it's literally only gonna take you 2 minutes a day, so stop panicking. For the first day, you're gonna wanna start with 3/4 of a cup of flour, and to that, you're gonna wanna add in 1/2 cup of lukewarm water. Now, you're gonna wanna really stir this until it's smooth. You wanna make sure that everything is completely and totally incorporated with each other, and that all the flour is fully hydrated with the water. You really have to check to make sure there's no clumps at all. It's gonna look kind of thick in texture like this. I also highly recommend you label this with what day you're on, just because who the heck is gonna remember to keep track? Let's just be real here. And now just loosely cover your jar and let it sit at room temperature for 24 hours. 24 hours later and your starter should be looking something like this. Now, it's really hot here where I live in Miami, so I've got some really good activity going on. You may notice some small bubbles appearing, and that's a really good sign. So this is when you throw away some of the older starter and leave just a little bit at the bottom so you can later add in some new water and flour. You're pretty much providing food for the bacteria so it can stay alive. Once you have that little bit of starter at the bottom of your jar, you can now go ahead and add in 3/4 of a cup of flour and 1/2 cup of your lukewarm water. Stir it up really well once again and cover it loosely and let it sit at room temperature for another 24 hours. By day 3, you can see I'm having a lot of good activity. There's a lot of bubbling at the top and throughout my starter. If yours still isn't looking like this, don't worry and trust the process, okay? The consistency should look a little bit like toothpaste by this point. And yes indeed, you've figured it out. You're pretty much just gonna do the same thing you've been doing for the past 2 days. So there you go. I'll see you in the next 24 hours. Okay, so hopefully by now you understand what's happening with the whole feeding process. So you're basically just gonna be doing the same feeding up until day 5. Hopefully by day 5 you should be having some good activity in your starter. It should be bubbling, you should see it rising and falling. And if you don't panic. Trust the process. You need to trust the process of your yeast, okay? And all you have to do is just keep on the same routine, keep feeding it, and it will become alive. So once you do reach the point that you are having some good activity in your yeast, then basically this is gonna be what you have to maintain for a long time. Basically forever. You have to maintain this feeding process, and that's how you're gonna keep your yeast alive. You can give this to your children, to your children's children, so this can be around for generations. I mean, I don't really know if you wanted to go that far, but like, you can. So now congratulate yourself. Give yourself a little pat on the back because you've literally made something out of nothing. Now you're this much closer to making your own sourdough bread at home. I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you in my next video. So you know what? Give yourself a little... That's a dog. Brownie!